yoga is once again occurring. Anyway, training is on my mind. It's an Ed Laverack training. Therefore the coffee and the amino acids are on the deck. It's 5 times 3 minutes, but the first of the 3-minute efforts is at maximum effort, absolute full gas. The other 4 are a bit more controlled, so the level of concern is high. The caffeine's going to be about 150 to 175 milligrams, really kind of ramp up the adrenaline in time for the training. Now that's definitely a stretch I approve of. Great for the hamstrings, the glutes and the lower back. Definitely the hamstrings, you'll feel the benefit of a stretch like that. Very nice indeed. Now time for a little sit down. About 36 seconds now away from the start of the first 3-minute effort. As I say, it's all matches burn, full gas, max effort, because Ed in the training note says it'll be useful, yes, I quote, useful to see how hard you can go ahead of doing the other efforts. Nice choice of narrative, Ed. Anyway, aiming for 110 to 120% of FTP, and obviously more than that on this first effort. 120% of FTP is about 350 watts. Here we go now.
Now, whilst I hadn't shared my little goal with you at the start of this training, I'd got my heart set on sustaining 400 watts for 3 minutes for the first time ever personally. Now, I'd previously attained 400 watts for 2 minutes 40 seconds on the recent Farnham Road hill climb event and 2 minutes 35 seconds for my PB on Swains Lane. So I've been eyeing up 180 seconds for a little while now. Now, both Swains and the hill climb event required a lot of standing and mashing down on the pedals. So here, electing to stay in the saddle made it that bit harder for me. I had to quickly focus on getting settled with the breathing and turning the big gear, sustaining a nice high and infernal cadence. Breathing out hard to expel the CO2 and in hard to get more oxygen into the lungs to replenish the oxygen in the blood stores. No ERG was engaged, so I had to measure out the power best I could. And as is always the case for these short, hard efforts, the final 60 seconds is a descent into a very dark place indeed, made only more sinister by the knowledge of there being 4 more to complete.
There's a Swains Lane. Was that max effort enough, Ed? That was disgusting. Quite happy I stayed seated for that. And it is easier on the indoor trainer for me, because even though the gradient's changing a little bit on Zwift, it isn't as variable in real life. And really the focus there was try and keep as close to 400 watts as possible. I think I probably averaged 400 over the 3 minutes, we'll see. But maintain a nice cadence. So at one stage I dropped the gear a little, just to bring the cadence back up, in order to reduce the perceived exertion. And it definitely enabled me really to complete that final minute. Dear me. So here we are, coming. Heart rate's recovered, legs haven't. To number 2. We'll see how we go in number 2. Obviously, it's going to be nowhere near number 1. So aiming for 3:35. Obviously ERG was not engaged. The level of concern is high. Really focusing on expelling the oxygen. Sorry, really focusing on expelling the CO2. Hear me? I don't feel very good. You can see there at least a 50 watt drop off versus the first session, the first block. And I was absolute max there. With 2 minutes to go, I really didn't think I'd complete the full 3. I'm in a mess. On the 3rd rep, I conked out after just 1 minute. So in effect, took about 5 minutes of recovery in total before the 4th, where I was in the kind of 3:15 to 3:40 range. Final one, gonna start ramping the power from about 3:15 again, see where I get to. 10 seconds away. Dear me. So it's time now to spin off the legs. Get blood circulating back through the muscles. Bring the heart rate down, try and calm the body down a little bit. And then for some post-ride nutrition, to really focus on the recovery, delivering vitamins, minerals, macronutrients into the body to rebuild muscle, to boost the immune system, to get rid of the cortisol and adrenaline, to replenish glycogen. And hopefully, because that was a max effort, nothing left on the table training, the damage to the muscles, the extra stress on the nervous system, allied to the recovery, is going to enable the body to rebuild itself a little bit more powerfully than before the day began. And as a little postscript ahead of the recovery and nutrition, here on the Zwift critical power graph, you can see that actually I did get my 400 watt power over the 3 minutes, and I held the 400 watts from 2 minutes all the way to 3 there. So super happy with that. That's definitely an indoor power PB for me. And as I said during the training, it is a little easier to hold the power indoors when all you've got to do is just focus on the infernal delivery of power here on the watt bike, and you haven't got to concern yourself with the steering, the braking, or terrain that undulates more. Looking at the timeline, you can see my failed third effort. I really kind of ran out of mental and physical stamina for that. So in all, really I had about 5 minutes or so of recovery ahead of the third block of 3 minutes, and then back to 3 minutes recovery ahead of the fourth block. And the quality of the third and fourth block was decent. I reckon I'd be in the kind of 330 watt range for that fourth. So overall, super happy with the training. Definitely it's going to deliver quite a stress on the body, and the recovery, nutrition and rest is going to deliver an adaptation. Well, fingers crossed it is. Well, I garnished Ed's training with 25 minutes zone 1, zone 2 at 100 RPM, just to spin out the legs, start that process of recovery. Now, the post-ride nutrition. Carbohydrates, one of those, and probably some cereal to replenish glycogen stores. Protein to deliver the amino acids to rebuild the muscles, and therefore the power a little bit stronger than before the day began. Vitamin C to get rid of all the cortisol and adrenaline, and the Phil Richards Ultimate Greens, which delivers a very fulsome profile of nutrients, i.e. minerals and vitamins, magnesium, iron, all the Bs, a little bit of vitamin D, vitamin C as well. Now we're going to have a full gas greens in a second. But also on my mind is vitamin D. Autumn, late autumn, winter is on its way, and I had a recent kind of full medical examination where they looked at my blood, all that kind of stuff, all healthy, that kind of thing. Actually hematocrit 46, so that explains a little bit why I'm quite well suited to cardiovascular exercise. Anyway, I digress. My calcium was a tad low, and they're saying basically you need to top up a little bit on the vitamin D in order to help the calcium get absorbed, I guess, to repair bone density, that kind of thing. There's obviously calcium in the whey protein. So I've got these Phil Richards vitamin D. They've got 2,000 international units per serving, which is a good serving. They taste good. Hang on a sec, there we go. Kind of berry flavoured. It's like a nice little sweet. Anyway, hoping the vitamin D is also going to kind of just aid the recovery. So now time for the greens. Fulsome profile of vitamins. A, D, all the Bs. Vitamin E. Magnesium, potassium, iron. All good for blood health. Full gas greens, here we come. Jane's trying to ignore me. She's trying to ignore this spectacle of magnificence. I jest, I do jest. Right. It's been a while. Cheers. Well, home gym it is for the next 4 weeks, courtesy of the English national lockdown, which means back on the agenda is the raised off the ground press-ups and also the trap bar deadlift. And as many of you'll know, I personally love the trap bar deadlift. It's a perfect big bang for your buck, 2-for-1 exercise for the cyclist who doesn't want to spend too much time in the gym but wants to develop a bit of power, strength and flexibility. And that's because, unlike the conventional deadlift, with a trap bar deadlift you stand right in the middle of the bar. With a conventional deadlift the bar's in front of you and it drags you forward a bit more. So that means with a trap bar deadlift there's less risk of the back rounding and less risk of injury. But of equal importance is the fact that with a trap bar deadlift, as I say, it's 2-for-1. You get the benefits of a squat and the benefits of a deadlift combined, because the trap bar deadlift works the quads quite hard, as well as the glutes, the hamstrings, the back and the core. So it's a perfect move for those who are either time compressed or don't really enjoy the gym work too much. Anyway, on Saturday, very unusually, Ed Laverack has set for me a 20-minute FTP test. And I'm probably going to live stream it. Okay, I will live stream it. I think it'd be remiss not to live stream it. Why not dial up the pressure on yourself a little bit more, Philip? I mean, after all, I can tell myself all I want that the FTP number doesn't really matter, but we all kind of know FTP is like the bench press of the cycling world. Anyway, I digress. That basically means that with the strength exercises today, in particular the lower body stuff, I don't want to go anywhere near muscle failure and unduly fatigue the muscles. So it's a case today of grease the groove, stay well away from failure and enjoy the movement and have them nice and powerful, nice straight back, knees out over the toes, plenty of glute involvement to push through with the hips to finalize the movement. Therefore aiming for 4 to 6 nice reps here. Here we go. Yeah, and they definitely felt good. The shape held nicely, back was straight, the movement was powerful. And as some of you will remember in the previous lockdown, for much of the deadlifting, I had the handlebars facing upwards, and that reduces the range of motion and makes the movement a little bit easier. I'd got to about 2 to 3 nice powerful reps with the handlebar facing down, and there I just hit 6 reps very nice and easily with the handlebars facing down, and definitely had plenty more in me, which I guess is indicative of improved strength and power as a result of all the work I've been doing over the last 8 weeks in the gym with the conventional deadlift and all the other movements. Anyway, I digress. So turning back to Saturday's FTP test, I'll probably start proceedings around about 8 AM. There'll be the usual notification on the YouTube channel. Please do like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Hit the notification bell and you won't miss out. Cheers. Yeah. 25. Oh dear. 20. Don't know what's going on with the voice. 25. And again, that represents progression versus during the longer lockdown. Again, indicative of the extra strength being built on the incline bench press in particular. Oh dear. That was hard work. Boy, was that hard work.